Welcome to Report from Our Bros. This episode is brought to you by Warwick Spice. Learn more at warwickspice.co.uk. Hi there, producer Sean here. Just a quick heads up. The audio in this episode isn't quite up to our usual standard this week, since we recorded this episode remotely. But it's still a really great conversation between Alan and Brian, and I think you'll still really enjoy it. Thanks for bearing with us, and we'll be back up to our usual quality next week.
Hello and welcome to Reports from Arbroath. Our guest today joins us from Paarl in South Africa's Western Cape, 8,551 miles from Arbroath, and we are in the company of cricketing greatness. Cricket world is full of opinions, and very rarely are those opinions unanimous, but safe to say everyone's agreed in this instance. Allan Donald is amongst the world's all-time great fast bowlers. 330 test wickets for South Africa at an average of 22, 272 ODI wickets at 21. In all, more than 1,900 career wickets taken, with bowling of high pace, high skill and huge heart. A microcosm of AD's career perhaps came in England in 1995, when he almost single-handedly bowled Warwickshire to the county championship title with 88 wickets at 15 apiece. Allan enjoyed a wonderful playing career, which has been followed by coaching roles all over the world, and underpinning it all has been a quest and a desire to make himself the best that he can be, and to make others around him the best they can be. And it's that quest that we're going to chat about today. AD, welcome to Reports from Arbroath. Many thanks for joining us. Building a career in professional sport requires many elements, and one thing's for sure, you can't do it on your own.
Thanks, Brian. It's great to be with you once again. Look, it's been an amazing run, especially with the Bears back in the 90s, and one will never forget all the wonderful memories we spent together. And I know you've seen a lot over a lot of the you basically seen us succeed and fail, and young men growing up very, very quickly and becoming leaders in their respective areas. So yeah, it's been a tremendous run of it.
And you mentioned young men and developing, and of course you came across to Birmingham very early in your adult life, didn't you? But tell us about your days before that as a formative young cricketer back in Blum at home. Tell us about your early days.
I'll never forget the day when I was picked for the local under-13 cricket team. I was sort of mucking around. A lot of people laugh at me so badly when I say I actually started off as a leg spinner. And but that day, the teacher asked me whether I was keen to bowl some seam up. We had 2 seamers down. Wow. And the best thing I did. I can't believe I'm even attempted that. But yeah, look, let's just say, I mean, from a parenting point of view, grew up tough. Mom and dad had some hard jobs that they had to endure in their lifetime. You talk about being at work at 5 a.m. Me and my brother traveling with them early in the morning just to be a walk away from school. So it wasn't all that easy, youngsters growing up, but I immediately loved sport. In South Africa, you have to play a winter sport, you have to play a summer sport, and quickly took to rugby in the winter, and of course athletics in the summer. And then, of course, played some cricket. But yeah, quickly with my uncle. I think my uncle was the biggest influence, and dad and grandfather. They knew I had some talent, and it just, whether it was rugby or cricket, but they quickly knew that my uncle that I had some talent playing cricket. So he sort of stuck to me a little bit and nurtured me and mentored me. But yeah, it slowly through the age groups got more and more successful, and realized that there could be some true potential.
And that potential, at some point, did you talk to your family and think, well, actually, this could be more than just a bit of fun in my life. This would actually be my working life and career. At what point did that become the sort of thought? This could be my life.
I think when I started meeting the Cronje family, Ebi Cronje, Ansi Cronje, his brother Frans Cronje, they're a very, sought after sporting family. Mr. Cronje worked at the Free State University. He realized straight away that I could go places in this game, and make sure that I signed a contract with Free State. Made my debut in 1985 at the Wonders, where I work now. And then the eye opener of it all, obviously playing in the apartheid era, was hard for especially young boys like me, having to see what goes on around you during that time was you just know that country can't move forward like this. When that was a shock for me, but I was so hungry just to play some cricket. But soon 80, moving on a couple of years now, when we played an unofficial test match against Australia at St George's Park, a guy by the name of what's his name? Come on, Brian, you got to help me here. Mr. Brown, the David Brown walked into our change room and introduced himself with Dr. Bacher and asked me then, would you like to come over for a, we see you've got some talent. And then, Cricket South Africa then was they used a lot of young players as exchange cricketers from Warwickshire to Joburg and South Africa to Warwickshire, and come and see yourself what it's like. And yeah, it was just a bust.
It must have been a significant transformation, though, AD. You've grown up in apartheid South Africa. You come over to England, hardly able to speak English, I think, at that time, and very, 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 very different culture. And you're still 19, 20, quite young, and that must have taken some adjustment. And I'm guessing that you needed some solid people in Brum to help you settle.
Well, driving it to Birmingham that sort of mid-morning with Andy Moles, who fetched me at Heathrow Airport, I quickly, everyone knows I come from a very, very small town in the Free State called Bloemfontein, and we only used to, everyone knows everyone. Driving him to Birmingham was the shock. I couldn't believe how big it was, a very industrial area. So going through there and eventually arriving at Edgbaston, I think there was a sign on the door: if you don't have a blue bear, you knock. So quickly realized that where I fit in the pecking order. So Andy just opened door, and all of a sudden the first person I saw was Jeff Humpage sitting right there, and they all welcomed me. Jeff was really cool. He played for Old Greys. Andy Lloyd played for Old Greys in Bloemfontein, and of course Jeff Humpage was this big hitting wicketkeeper who played for the university as their overseas pro. But I was quickly taken under the wing of Jeff, who really, I traveled with him. We spoke cricket and pitches and conditions and stuff like that. So the education from off the field really was the cricket education was critical, coming from a guy like him. And soon, it sort of just ballooned out.
The cricketing side sounds as though it evolved quite quickly. What about settling into life in Birmingham? It's very different, isn't it, to Blum? And I take it you were in digs somewhere. And how did that adjustment happen?
Yeah, luckily, there was as I got out of the car, there was another blonde African there by the name of Trevor Penny. Didn't actually realize where he came from, and I started straight off the bat, started speaking Afrikaans to him, and he couldn't understand. He was coming from Zim and lived in Harare, and he said, well, this is your roommate, Trevor Penny. And until this day, me and Trevor Penny remain very, very close friends. So me and him sent the flat upstairs right above the offices at where the old stand was. And I stayed there with him for 4 years, and it was an absolute blast. It was so cool. And we became very, very good mates, very close mates. And yeah, we shared a lot of good stuff together.
As you did, of course, with Gladstone Small, another guy who went on to become a good mate of yours. And of course, that must have been quite strange, mustn't it? You've grown up in apartheid South Africa, and here you are now becoming really good mates with a guy from Barbados.
Yeah, I mean, so we sort of followed the Ashes series in 86, 87 in South Africa, and I noticed that Gladstone Small and came from Warwickshire, he plays for Warwickshire, and I knew that I was going to Edgbaston, and I became sort of fascinated uh, about Glad and way he bowled, and he was a fantastic bowler. I think he took 4 or 5 wickets in the Melbourne Test match, the Boxing Day Test match, to help England win that very tense Test match. But I can wait for him to come home because to Birmingham, I mean. So and he was just such a chilled guy, really chilled guy, and he effectively became our bowling coach. With not being a bowling coach, but a mentor, a guy that I can look up to, a guy that I can relate to. We never had that in South Africa. I never always had coaches who were stern and hard, tell you this is the way you're going to do it. He was always by my side at mid-off and mid-on. And yeah, I mean, I changed in the opposite corner that he was in the old dressing room. So he's just a hoot and always has been. So yeah, I mean, I've often said it. I've often said it in interviews that Gladstone Small became a real. Well, he was a coach before Bob Woolmer came along, and then that relationship took it to another level. But Glad was instrumental in what I achieved there.
So you obviously grew up in Blum, and now you're developing in Brum. What were the differences in the cultures of growing up as a young cricketer in South Africa and then in England?
Well, my uncle's message to me when I left Blum was, he said to me, "You're going to grow up quickly now, and it's all good and well being independent and having time away from home. I need to find myself and need to explore things, need to learn a lot of things being on my own and in a different country, not just a different province, but a different country in the UK." So, you know, pub life, first night out, moles, and a few other lads took me out to the OVT and Selly Oak, and that became like the Warwickshire haunt for many years. And after the day's play or for a casual pint, and I never drank a drop of alcohol. And Andy Moles looked at me, and I ordered a shandy, and he just looked at me, going, "Shandy, it's the last time you're drinking a shandy, young lad. Welcome to the real world." And so then there it just took off from there. But it wasn't tough. I quite enjoyed being on my own. I quite enjoyed going out and never caught a bus in my life. Taxis and stuff like that. So you quickly learn how to fend to yourself and get on with things and become independently stable. So it was, but I didn't have an issue with it. It was cool. It was really cool.
And as your career evolved, and obviously you became an exceptional fast bowler. I mean, and this question sort of extends to the people that you've helped as both a senior player and a coach over the years. How much improvement comes from within the individual, and how much do you need criticism and analysis of others and support from others?
It's something I struggle to explain to people about what is in your belly, and one thing I always wanted to do was when I go to Warwickshire, I just wanted to be. My game was nowhere. I knew I had to develop. I knew I had talent. I knew I had pace, but I didn't have no clue how to package it all. I had coaches there, Bob Cottam. I had David Brown there. Everyone has their own coaching philosophy. You quickly learn what to take in. So I had a notebook wherever I went in team meetings, and I just listened to coaches, listened to players, and just write some stuff down, either whether it's words or a line that I can just fall back on. Um, you know, you're going to get lots of advice. You're going to try things. You're going to experiment. And the best times I learned was when I had access to guys like Ian Botham, who sat in the Worcestershire dressing room. He was the last to leave. He had a driver. I walked past the dressing room. I was all suited and booted. He called me in and he said, "You want to sit down, have a drink?" And we started chatting and congratulated him on the Ashes series. And I quickly realized, wow, this is the best place you're going to learn is from these guys. And soon it became Clive Wright, it became Richard Hadley, it became Malcolm Marshall. It was overwhelming how many of these unreal guys. I used to do it. We had TV access to that. We looked at the Wisden and Cricketer magazine to see what these guys were up to. Um, so um, so yeah, it was there that my real progress kicked on, and with Glad there, with Dennis Amos there, Alvin Fletcher ran in that change room. That became like slowly but surely. Just don't get overwhelmed by all the advice, and that's the best advice a Glad gave you was, you're going to get tons of it. You're going to need to find a way to package it, and don't get ahead of yourself. So quick, and that's why I decided to go and get a notebook and write some stuff down that you can just really sort of see this is important.
One of the things that you have to evaluate, as I think you've just hinted at, is that you have to recognize some advice as, well, no, that's not what I want to do.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just simply in your mind, you just say, okay, but there's a part of you that's going to go, it's not okay. And this is what, this is what we coach these days. And, but it's a little bit more clinical. It's a little bit more understanding the individual better. I found in our era, it was pretty rough and tough. It was really unstructured coaching that it was not scientific. Strategically, it wasn't all that good. So you just make up as you go along. You just uh, adapt and adapt and adapt. So yes, it was pretty much like that.
And part of coaching and the advice that any evolving cricketer needs, I guess, it's not just about the technical stuff. It's about how to deal with failure and think when things don't go your way. Because if you're a batter, you can get sawn off for naught, can't you? Or if you're a bowler, you can bowl brilliantly and people drop catches. So cricket can be quite brutal, can't it? So I guess it's about learning to deal with all that as well.
Oh, unbelievable! So. I remember a strong, stern message from Bob Cottam. I saw him last year at the Warwickshire dinner, the reunion dinner, and I remember playing against Yorkshire, and I got 10 in the game, and I think he was sort of in between where to play me in the second game at Edgbaston, and he picked me, and his advice was to me, great bowlers always win you matches second time round in last innings during the second innings. So it's not about your 10 fizz, it's about your contribution. And I felt a little bit sort of, wow, that's quite harsh. It I just took 10 for you feel like you're top of the world, but you weren't really. I quickly realized when you've got to come down to another level again. That game is gone. You've got to start again. You've got to respect the opposition again. You've got to earn the right to be in that position again. And I quickly realized that, look at Hadley. And I went to Hadley. Hadley is one of my all-time favorites. And look at his consistency. And he always, when you speak to Richard Hadley, always spoke about greatness lies in consistency. You're not going to take five every time, but if your contribution in another game is consistent with your previous performances, and you get better by 5% every single game, that's where the greatness lies. It's not about the 10th and the 5th you get, but it's about that consistency and the 5% improvement. That hit me. Absolutely, I got it.
You did. You clearly, over the years, benefited from advice from some amazing people and some amazing cricketers. I mean, as you improved, AD, and you did obviously become an exceptional cricketer yourself. Did you still need that support? Did you, or did you slightly less need advice and guidance as you felt that your game was pretty much improving as it should be?
It's a great question that I don't get asked a lot, because as a young guy, I looked to latch on to someone's knowledge, and a guy that didn't necessarily have to tell me exactly how you're going to do it. It's a guy that I could just bounce off some ideas, and that meant clearly when Bob Woolmer walked into the change room, that changed my life, 100% all over. He was technically unbelievable. But where he was even better was he deflected technicalities into being a fierce competitor. I knew I was a fierce competitor. I knew it. I wasn't really a fan of technique, but once he sorted me out in terms of who I was as a bowler and what my identity looked like, what rhythm should look like, and every technical aspect of my bowling action was pretty much waxed and sorted out. All he was wanting for me is to lead. He's fiercely lead, and um, and 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 just be the best beast you can be every single day. And that is the one thing that I think the youngsters of today now probably default back to when they think it's actually when they've had a bad day. The first thing they look at is probably a technical issue, which it is not. It's just not. Your mind is not in the fight, and that for me was such a big thing. Is that old saying is fake it till you make it, and fake it all day. If things are going bad, it's for the team. It's not for you. So he took that selfish element straight out of it, and he was honest with me. There's no, if you have a bad day, it's not about you. I'll show you. I'm not going to even tell you what it was about with the action. It's got nothing to do with action. You were not the best competitor. I know you can be, and that's so true.
Of course, after your playing days, you have coached considerably all over the place, and hopefully one or two more interesting wrinkles to that plot still lie ahead. But is that the mentality that you try and instill in young cricketers around you and all cricketers around you, that actually a lot of it is not technical, it's all in here, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think the way of coaching now, especially in domestic cricket, first class cricket, it doesn't matter where you are around the world, is now it's very important. No one really asked me about the person that I was. No one really asked me about my background. No one really asked me about my mom and dad. So now, if you sit with someone you don't know, these are the background checks that I need to find out from my specialist point of view, is that I need to know the individual really, really well. So if he's got problems at home, he's going to have problems in the dressing room, mate, and that's going to affect him. So that's where we go first now, is to identify, really put in some work about who we're working with. Forget about the talent. We can look with the talent. But long story short is, once you identify that, you know the bloke, and you make him feel really a part of your passion for fast bowling, and he believes you that I can back him all the way. Then you can work with it. But the big issue now is, first of all, there's so many other things that clutter the mind, especially when kids have a bad day or a bad week, or a, it's self blame. It's I wasn't snapping okay. So the truth is always, okay, here it is. I'll let you watch it on screen, and you tell me what you felt in these moments. So it's become a little bit more. I'm not talking about up there. That's a different level. Those guys, when they arrive there, they don't have those issues. They're there because they've done exactly the stuff that I'm talking about now at domestic level. But domestic level is tricky. It's very tricky.
It's interesting, actually. You mentioned the word there, clutter, and there's an awful lot of information around for cricketers these days, isn't there? Data and analysis. And I do remember a Warwickshire opener a few years ago coming in. He'd just been out, LBW, and he came in to have a look at the video footage and to find out which way the ball had moved, and actually just missed a full toss, and it had been LBW to a full toss. Sometimes, do you think almost there's a bit of an excuse culture as well because there's so much information around?
Yeah, it's 100%. It's not enough. You've just played the most horrendous shot in the world, and you're coming off and you're looking for a technical fault, but actually, you know what? That was just a horror shot. You missed a full toss. This blame something else rather than myself. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit of that. But, we try where I am right now is that we create a real, and having Hashim Amla around, there's a very straight and very honest culture about self blame or blame others or whatever it is. We've got that out of the dressing room. Once you establish that and you get that type of cancer out of the dressing room, you're going to have a very good environment. So and then an environment of honesty, self honesty, not blaming others. So yeah, it can be very tricky if you don't nail it early.
AD, you have just spoken to them. You referred to what you're up to now. Just for listeners in England over here, what are you up to at the moment back in South Africa?
Oh, I was just finished with Bangladesh a couple of years ago, and Russell Domingo rang me. Me and him worked at Bangladesh together, and then he signed obviously for the DP World Lions in Johannesburg. Asked me whether I was keen to come on board. He's made it known to me he's just signed Hashim Amla. So, and we've got an analyst called Sana Ingram who's worked with South Africa for over 8 or 9 years. And I thought, well, wow, that's a decent coaching team. With a world-class analyst. And so I'm up there now at the Wanderers, really enjoying my time. And been a very successful couple of years with winning 3 trophies in 2 years. And so, yeah, it's been a seriously, beneficial, and Wanderers is iconic in itself. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next year. So yeah, it's been brilliant. It's been awesome. A great bunch of guys, a solid organization, and loving my time there.
I'm guessing that nothing can compare with actually being a player and sending somebody's middle stump cartwheeling, but it must be quite satisfying as a coach as well to see a young cricketer that has got an issue or a problem and just helping him through that.
It's we've got a youngster here now, Koina Mapaka. You've probably heard about him, left arm seamer, and he's with us at Lions. So there's the small little things. You always look out for these little cues that might just spark something. And saw something in his action the other day that was that sort of. I was worried about the spine angle at release point, and we spoke about a couple of things. And to see him getting it done and getting that sorted out was a great relief, not only for him, and seeing the excitement on his face about, okay, this is actually working. And it was a very small issue, very small, nothing big, quick fix. And yeah, it really does it does give you a great satisfaction to see, okay, this guy is only 18 years old. He's a baby, and but he's taken it on board, and he's fixed it. It's just awesome to see that what such a small thing made such a big difference in his life.
And every young cricketer, of course, is a young human being, and human beings have got all sorts of things going on around them, isn't there? So I guess there's always a challenge or challenges coming down the track. It sounds like a fascinating business.
It's every single day is just a new challenge in the coaching world, and I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to lie about it. Coaching's hard. It's very, very tough because you're dealing with so much every single day. What I was like as a player, and I had some coaches that was so hard on me and affected me in a way. And message is always to a group of guys, and for me, it was always getting a very tight knit bowling group together And my message is always inconsistent with these guys. You do not have to worry what I think. As long as you stay grossly competitive, it's okay that you're going to make mistakes. Because when a coach told me, Bob Woolmer and Hansi Kroening were always like that, he says, if you're unsure, risk it. So don't worry about making mistakes. You're going to make it, but just lead, love what you lead, why you lead, and just be the best monster you can be every single day. That's all we want from you. The rest is, you're not going to tell you how to do it. Just going to take it down. That's all. And that's my message consistently. And that has just brought the best out of it. Okay, well, not looking over my shoulder to think what Alan's thinking. I've just been tonked for sis. But don't worry. Now I know he's got my back. So it's just good messaging.
Well, AD, over the years, you've obviously had lots of great advice and some not so good advice. One of the best bits, I'm guessing, was right at the start when somebody said, "Don't be a leg spinner, AD, be a quick bowler." That worked out quite well, didn't it?
It certainly did, yeah, Brian. I never looked back. I thought, what the hell am I doing? I quickly became the spearhead of my school, and only spent like half a season at Great Course Primary, and then straight after that, my mom and dad, they took me out of the school. They put me into another school, and so then I had to work a little bit harder, because that school that I went to wasn't really a cricket school known for its cricket nor for its athletics and rugby, but we made it work somehow. So yeah, it was I had my uncle that really sort of guided me through that high school period. It was awesome.
Well, it worked out quite well, didn't it, AD, in terms of your playing career? And now you are hopefully putting lots of boys and girls on the correct path as well. So that's a wonderful thing to do. AD, many thanks for your time. It's lovely to chat.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, we'll see each other soon.
Reports from Arbroath is an Orion Creative Services production. To listen to more episodes, to read our blog, or to join our mailing list, please visit reportsfromarbroath.com.